Hello there, YouTube. This is going to be something of a brief thoughts of no one in particular, because it's it's just incredibly stupid. I got a comment on my page, channel comments, which are annoying because of the fact that I don't get any notification that these channel comments exist until I manually check them. So I didn't realise this was there for a while, but essentially there's two in particular. One I won't mention too much because he's an idiot, but the other was your left-wing beliefs are pushing you toward hell. Yes, so apparently left-wing politics is now satanic. Believing in such classic satanic doctrines such as love thy neighbour, such as give up your money and follow me, the love of money is the root of all evil, and judge not lest ye be judged, all said by that famous Satanist Jesus of Nazareth. Oh wait. Yes, this is something that just completely baffles even socially conservative Christians in this country. Just do not get how you can support fiscally conservative ideas and still call yourself a Christian, because of the fact that you're completely contradicting yourself. The politics of the right, as far as fiscal conservatism is concerned, is the politics of selfishness. And in fact, the main proponent of said Ayn Rand pretty much flat out said that. And what I find even funnier, thank you, the Christian left, for this, but this is the real nail in the coffin here. Anton LaVey, the founder of the somewhat trollish Church of Satan in Los Angeles, famously said, "This is the political philosophy of Ayn Rand, with a bit of religious symbolism thrown in." That was an actual quote. He said that. He, admittedly, his form of Satanism is somewhat misinterpreted, and it is very much in the line of the sort of Hellfire Club idea of basically objection to sort of dogmatism, which, funnily enough, is exactly what Jesus Christ was all about, objecting to dogmatism and the legalism, and just generally people being hypocrites. So he's not quite like some of the others involved within that sort of area who actually do believe that they are following the devil. This guy was a very, very clever sort of troll of religion in the mould of the Hellfire Club. Now, I'll explain a little about the Hellfire Club. I believe I mentioned them briefly in my latest book. The Hellfire Club was a group of nobles who, in Georgian England, so that's 18th century England, they had this, well, they set up in the 17th century, it went through the 18th. Basically, they were people who were so rich that they, and so bored with how Christianity was sort of pushing them towards being nice people, and sort of donating the money to the poor. They just got so fed up with it that they decided to make a little club. Most of them still went to church and still sort of, at least on the surface, appeared either liberal Christian or agnostic. Very few of them actually outright atheists. But they got together in this little club, and it was called the Hellfire Club. And they just had these parody rituals. They were, I believe, the drinks and refreshments were served by waitresses who, by their contract, had to be naked. And it was just a general stupid little trolling of religion, really. It was there for these rich bastards to celebrate the fact that they were essentially above the law and they could do what the hell they wanted. And believe me, some of the comments made about the Hellfire Club and their activities, I have no doubt some points they may well have got away with murder because they were all that well connected, and they were all that well powerful. And also another funny thing about that, when you talk about the American right, among the life members of the Hellfire Club were the following: Adam Smith, the founder of what we now call capitalism, basically the guy who invented modern day capitalism. His grave is in Edinburgh, and when I visited Edinburgh, I was told that when he was buried in the nonconformist side part of the graveyard, there were a big bunch of Presbyterian Church of Scotland people camped around his grave, expecting the devil to turn up in person to pick him up. He was that malicious and nasty, to them at least. So that was their expectation. They were sadly disappointed, but I'm sure I'm sure he had better things to do. But no. So Smith was a outright atheist and lifelong member. Other members include Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers. Several other founding fathers are also mentioned in there, although their membership is not necessarily as sort of definite as Franklin's membership. And generally, I just find this extremely funny. Funny in a sickening kind of way, but that's how I find a lot of things. But the American right going on about its sort of family values and its belief in a thing, it just makes no sense, and it is being exported. This makes no sense because we have with Nadine Dorries, who calls herself a libertarian, at the same time calls herself a Christian, same time, yeah, she's a mess. She's called the British Sarah Palin, and with good reason. But yeah, so essentially, it's the whole basis of the American right is around a contradiction. Contradiction that they are they're following these ideologues. I won't call them religious figures. They're following these ideologues like Rand, LaVey, and all these others without realizing it. Not realizing what they're doing, and that is directly contradicting Christian principle. And I do believe the vast majority of the sort of socialist movements in the UK have been very Christian based, even in recent times, because there was a film that was made about the SAS, and they needed a terrorist group. Originally they were going to have a Middle Eastern terrorist group, but then the Iranian embassy siege happened, so they made them a homegrown left-wing group. And this left-wing group's rally was led by a priest. And that's for good reason, because the first sort of major sort of socialist revolution in this country, the Peasants' Revolt, was also led by a priest who famously said, so when Adam toiled and Eve spun, who then was the gentleman? again with our civil war, although Cromwell became a theocratic dictator, at the start he famously said, no one but Christ is king. Yes, I do realise that a certain wingnut wrote that to me, and he did correctly quote that quote, only he said it was on Cromwell's tomb. Cromwell doesn't have a tomb. Cromwell he did have a tomb. It was in his parish church, I think it's Somerset somewhere, and it was a little sort of vault. It wasn't anything spectacular. It was broken into by the forces of Charles II. His dead body was then put on trial. Yes, that's what Charlie Boy was like. And executed. Yes, he executed a dead body in the manner with the hanging, drawing, quartering, where they sent them all bits of the body all around the country. I believe we recently lost... I think we found his head again. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't really been keeping up with archaeology, but... his head vanished in the 1930s, reappeared in the 70s, vanished again. Generally, trying to find Cromwell's head is one of the major things when it comes to sort of storing historical artifacts at the moment. For some reason, we keep losing track of it. I got on a tangent there. But essentially, to use Christianity in concordance with a sort of what Americans call libertarian doctrine is just completely stupid. Incredibly stupid. I mean, words escape me as to how stupid it is. This guy, as TYT constantly says, was the original communist. And admittedly, later on, said revolution did eat its children, and a legalistic Pharisee called Paul hijacked the movement and did exactly what Jesus said don't do all the time, and still people followed him. I don't have much respect for that guy. He was a very, very bad example of what a Christian should be. But yeah, you're basing your... I've already talked about the fallacy of basing your sort of social conservatism on Christianity, and there are some who would say in this country, there's a minority, I'd say, that would have some kind of social conservative ideas, mostly from sort of the more either very sort of middle class regions or various sort of immigrant churches that are popping up, more than the sort of Church of England itself, which is particularly liberal as a whole. And it was based on a compromise. So frankly, how you can hold a conservative position in it is somewhat stupid. But nonetheless, they have these. They will not be fiscally conservative. They will never be that. Conservative or liberal, all of our archbishops have condemned pretty much every war we've been in since World War II. All of our archbishops have condemned cuts to public services, have condemned the attacks on the poor, disabled, sick by the government and by the media in general. And to that end, even ideologues like Sentamu and the current Bishop of London, who I've forgotten his name, I met him, but I can't remember his name, they may be very strongly opinioned on homosexuality, but when it comes to the sort of proper practice of a Christian minister, they will call out anybody who doesn't fit their, as they see the Christian responsibility, to look out for the weak and look out for the humble. and that is to their credit, really. Anyhow, I hope you found this entertaining. Do check out the rest of my thoughts.